Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Outgrow's Marketer of the Month. I'm your host, Dr. Saksham Sharda. I'm the creative director at outgrow.co. And for this month, we're going to interview Wei-Shin, who is the CEO of AcousticSheep LLC. Thanks for joining us, Wei-Shin.
Thanks for having me.
All right, so Wei-Shin, we're going to start with a rapid fire round just to break the ice. You get 3 passes. In case you don't want to answer the question, you can just say pass. But try to keep your answers to one word or one sentence only, okay?
Okay.
Okay? All right. Okay, so the first one. How long does it take you to get ready in the mornings?
About 5 minutes now.
Okay, most embarrassing moment of your life?
Oh. Trying to think.
Okay, we'll have to pass that. Too much time. How many hours of sleep can you survive on?
None.
Okay, fill in the blank. An upcoming marketing trend is blank.
An upcoming marketing thing. Cybersecurity is important.
The city in which the best kiss of your life happened.
Paris.
Pick one, Mark Zuckerberg or Jack Dorsey.
Jack Dorsey.
The first movie that comes to your mind when I say the word ambition.
One that I watched recently. Wolf of Wall Street.
When did you last cry and why?
Nightmare about my kids.
Okay. The biggest mistake of your career.
Oh, that's hard to say. I don't know. I did not join the CDC. I don't because that's my previous long-term career, but now I have a different career, so.
All right. So how do you relax?
Listen to music in a car without the kids.
How many cups of coffee do you drink per day?
1.
A habit of yours that you hate.
I still chew on my fingernails some.
Okay. The most valuable skill you've learned in life.
To be reflective on a conversation as it's going on. So talking about the meta conversation sometimes while you're in the conversation with somebody.
And the last question is your favorite Netflix show.
Oh, Netflix. So we actually watch a lot of Octonauts. I have young kids.
Okay. A lot of your questions were centered around kids. Your answers were centered around kids. How interesting.
Yes.
Except the biggest mistake of your career, to which you didn't say kids, which is good. All right. So, well, that's the end of the rapid fire round. You scored 9 on 10 because you passed one. Well, I had to make you pass one because you thought a lot on the most embarrassing moment of your life. So that's it, 9 on 10. All right. So let's go on to the bigger questions. The first one is actually quite simple. What are SleepPhones and how did the idea of building these earphones first come into place?
Right. So I actually, in my life, I don't have a lot of regrets. I try not to think back on what I should have done differently, and I just kind of keep moving forward, right? So that's why it's hard to think of things that are and embarrassed about or something, because it's all built me to where I am today. So anyway, so SleepPhones, these are SleepPhones, and these are actually headphones. I started off my ambition in life from high school to and for 10 years after high school was to become an epidemic intelligence service through the CDC person and go around the world investigating epidemics and stuff like that. And so I interviewed at the CDC, and I ended up it was a really hard decision to not take that position, and decided to instead go into private practice as a family doctor. Um, so anyway, we'll get to all of that. I think it's relevant somehow because of your rapid fire questions. But in any case, my so I was in private practice, and I would be on call every fourth night. And whenever you're on call, you get calls, at 3 a.m. and 5 a.m., whatever. You get called every few hours. And it would be really hard for me to get back to sleep after getting one of those phone calls. And so then um, I decided, I was complaining to my husband, and he brought home some speakers one day. And so we decided to like just kind of try making our own, um, to see if maybe I could listen to some relaxing music that can help, calm my mind and get me back to sleep and stuff like that, and not disturb anybody else because we were in a small apartment at the time. Um, at 3 a.m. I can't be blasting the radio or anything. So
Hmm.
it was, so we came up with the idea of putting very, very thin speakers inside of a headband. So I'll show you what the speaker looks like. And then, once we did that, and I was able to really sleep well, and just, listen to my guided meditation and things like that. So this is one of the speakers. It's just really, really thin, and they're flexible. So, and it worked for me. And so then I was thinking, well, I've got a ton of patients taking sleeping pills. I should probably just make a few more and see, what's out there, see if anybody's interested in something like this, because we looked everywhere and there wasn't anything. There were no headphones designed for sleeping in bed. And so that's kind of how we started all of this.
Hmm. And what has this journey been like? Your transition from being a doctor to being an entrepreneur. What major changes did you see in your day-to-day life?
Yeah. So in the beginning, we actually bootstrapped everything. We at night, my husband and we would just sit down after work, put on the TV and just start sewing and soldering. When we started this company, so we actually made the first 500 pieces ourselves by hand on our kitchen table. Um, and then, and so, we were still working our day jobs, and we continued to work our day jobs for 5 years after starting the company. We did transition to where, we would say, well, I'll work 4 days a week and then 3 days a week. And then my kids came along, so then, 2 days a week and, stuff like that. So we did make a lot of transitions along the way, as necessary. And then about 5 years in, we, just kind of sewing ourselves and working with some of our neighbors and, people we knew, people we found off Craigslist, in fact, too. We transitioned to where we actually made $1 million in sales that year. And so then we decided, okay, we've got to make a decision. Like, this is actually, and we get in a whole bunch of people telling us how good these are, how good SleepPhones have helped their life. And like, it's changed my life. I've been able to, sleep better after taking sleeping pills for 10 years. I've been able to come off. And people wrote in and said it saved my marriage, because I'm finally able to sleep next to my snoring husband and things like that. And so we were seeing just how positive of an impact we were having. And so with my like public health background, and just the fact that I like more preventative medicine than treatment medicine, and the goal that kind of overarches my life, which is to really just benefit the world in the best way that I can. It made sense for us at that point, my husband and I, to transition out of our day jobs and focus more on just growing the company, because honestly, we were helping more people sleep, which was improving the rest of their lives, than I could ever have done, as a physician, seeing about 20, 30 patients a day, and just basically prescribing pills and stuff like that. So decided that was a better use of our time. So we went to CES, the Consumer Electronics Show in Las Vegas for the first time, and just at that point, we didn't really know what we were doing. That was our first major big trade show, and we had won one of the awards, and everybody flocked to our little booth, 10 by 10 booth. It was incredible. Like, we were the busiest booth in the entire area. We could barely leave the booth to see the rest of the show because we were so busy. So we recognized then that, okay, we've got something really spectacular here, and we really need to focus on it. And so that's when we finally moved our operations out of our house and into a warehouse, and like set up a proper business, and fill out all the forms and things like that.
Wow, so that's been quite a journey. And is there something about being a doctor that you miss now?
I do. I enjoy every job that I've done, because I only go into things that I find fulfilling. um,
Hmm.
and uh, so sometimes, especially with the current pandemic, I wonder, how I could have contributed if I had been at the CDC, and I was able to, somehow guide the conversations, and just kind of try to make sure that we're all having a better experience through all of this. So yeah, sometimes I do regret that. Although, I'm kind of doing my own thing now, where I'm helping the business community really understand um, the pandemic, and how to grow and transition and pivot and whatever it is that you need to do during this pandemic. And so that's been really rewarding too. So yeah.
What are some of the ways in which you're doing this?
Yeah. So this actually harkens back to one of the questions that you had asked, that your viewers have asked, which is, what is the one thing that you did, right? That you found. So at the beginning of the pandemic, I started blogging about, what you should have in stock, what you need to make sure that you are doing right now, and preparing, and kind of what to expect, like, because part of preparation is, okay, is it going to be a 2-week lockdown, or is it going to be like a 2-year kind of a ordeal where we're still dealing with this, because you need to be mentally prepared, and to dole out the right types of computers or whatnot to your employees. And so I recognized pretty early on that this was a long-term thing, and that we're going to need to wear face masks and all this stuff. And so when the face mask mandate came about in the US, at that point, most of us were still in lockdown. And so it's not like we could have traveled to a craft store to make our own masks. And at the time, like, there were no masks, surgical masks, or anything of that sort to be found on the market, because we were, basically saving them for our first responders. And so everybody had to just kind of scrounge around at home and make their own cloth masks. And so, as a doctor, I've had experience with wearing face masks during surgery. I would sit in on surgeries as a medical student and resident and things like that, for hours on end, hours and hours. And so then you learn that the nasal bridge, the wire is very important, and the fogging of the glasses is also an issue for a lot of people. And if they have facial hair, that's also an issue. And just different size faces, because I was thinking about my kids at the time too, and kind of fitting the mask to their face. And so as I was looking online for different face mask tutorials and things like that, I found that there really wasn't anything to account for all of the other scenarios, like the extras. And it was all designed for, like, the standard adult face without a nose wire, and stuff like that. And so at that point, I just said, well, I've got a sewing machine, I've got all this fabric laying around, let me just try something. So I did, kind of like how SleepPhones got started. And I just kind of sewed. I used some speaker wire for the nasal bridge, and then um, just some like flannel fabric, because it's a little harder to see through, and you could see that, you know, things can probably get trapped a little bit easier and all of that. And so I put all of that together and made a face mask that fit better, and was more comfortable because it had the nasal bridge and it could fit different size faces, different ideas about like sizing for different size faces. And my husband had a beard. He has a very long beard. And so like regular face masks just don't fit. Like you're supposed to have it under your chin and all that, right? But in his case, we just needed the face mask to go way down, to kind of cover his beard a bit so that there's a little bit more filtration there. So came up with the design and wrote a big blog article about it, put it online, and called it the most comfortable face mask. And honestly, and just, made sure I talked about bearded men and glasses and kids and things like that. Turned out that there was nothing on the internet for bearded men. And we ranked number 1 on Google for face masks for bearded men for weeks. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So, people are searching for this, and we ranked number 1. And so it brought, it quadrupled the amount of traffic to our website for some time. And honestly, to this day, the traffic has not completely gone back to where it was. So wow. I think, we really gained a lot of Google authority points on this, and just search traffic in general. And because we did so much more, bring so much more traffic to our website, and the fact that, it was centered around something comfortable. I think because for SleepPhones, I mean, our main goal with SleepPhones is to have a comfortable headphone for sleeping in, right? It's about that, when you're going to bed. And so, kind of pivoting on that word comfortable into face masks, really brought that traffic to our site. And we doubled our sales for, half of last year, basically.
That's an amazing marketing story for real. That's like really great. And how you manage, because even the topic, the most comfortable face mask, is actually should be like, is something that people would be Googling at that time. And I'm glad you stuck on the beard thing, but even this topic of most comfortable face mask is just, it's just amazing. But that's great. So in addition to this, could you tell us about any other go-to advertising or marketing strategies that you're using?
Well, let's see. So at some point in our 14 years now of running this company, at some points, I've been like, well, do we really need to run Google ads? Or what should we do about Amazon and all this stuff? And what we did find was that, it is so important. It is worth it. And, just make sure that you're not overspending. Make sure you're getting ROI, but as long as you're getting ROI, Google ads are good.
Okay, so that's what you've been doing. Google ads and any Facebook ads, or just mostly Google ads?
Yeah, Facebook ads. Yeah, we do, all the different advertising online, standard advertising, Microsoft and all of that.
So speaking of like comfort, how do you think ASMR has evolved in the past 10 years? And how do you use it for growth?
Yeah, that's an interesting one too. So there's a story with that.
Okay.
So my husband's always, he's a game developer. And so he's always on like the bleeding edge of all new technologies and like all new thought and things like that. And I am more of the person who's like down to earth. Like I'm going to plan out the next 2 weeks and what I need to bring for this, whatever. Like I get things done, right? I'm that kind of type A personality. Whereas he is the broad thinker. So and he reads a lot too. So he's always reading about new stuff. And he thinks about, what happened in the past and what's going to happen in the future, 10, 20, 100 years down the line, and kind of talks, we talk about it, and then I'm like, oh, well, hey, that's actually relevant to this and this, so let's implement whatever. And so he brings in a lot of new information, and ASMR was one of those things that he had stumbled upon. It was kind of a new phenomenon at the time, and I want to say this is about like 7-8 years ago, when it was just kind of starting to take off. um,
Hmm.
and we found some YouTubers, and they seemed really nice, and this was kind of, to me, it was kind of weird, honestly. Didn't really get it. But I mean, I can tell, that some people, yes, when you do get that tingly feeling, um, I can relate to the tingly feeling, and then um, I don't know if it relaxes me or if it makes me anxious, but I think for me, I'm just more of a type A personality. But for some people, that can perhaps relax them, right? And so, to me, it seemed like a really interesting new phenomenon that we should know a little bit more about. And medical science is always way behind. We're always playing catch up, right? Um,
Hmm.
and learning about these new phenomenon that people experience, and we have to, learn to really listen to our patients more honestly, in my opinion. Anyway, so ASMR was this new thing, and we found a YouTuber that was willing to work with us. And so we're like, hey, we understand that some of your listeners relax to this and may fall asleep, and so here's a set of SleepPhones. Can you, look at it, review it, maybe talk about it, because it could be beneficial to you too, so that your listeners have something comfortable to wear while they're listening. Um, and so we were surprised because she did an entire podcast, centered around it. So an unboxing, right? Tapping on things, and then like, brushing on things, and it really, that podcast got a lot of views very, very quickly. It brought a lot of traffic to our site. We sold a lot, and we recognized that, hey, this is really an area that we need to grow with, because like a couple months after starting to work with her, she ended up on major news stations talking about the work that she does. And so,
Oh, wow.
yeah, and you know, she no longer responds to our emails now because she's too big. But anyway, um, yeah, and so we kind of caught this just before it blew up, right? And and we've grown with it for sure. And if you search for comfortable headphones for ASMR, we definitely come up high, if not first. And so we decided at 1.2 to make an ASMR edition, because we have a version where we have built-in music. So rather than being Bluetooth, where it pairs with your phone and you have to set up your phone with whatever playlist and things like that, we had a version that we designed for your grandmother, basically, for your grandparents who don't have an iPhone, don't know how to do a playlist, who don't want to like sync anything. They just want to press a button and listen to whatever favorite thing they have, right? And so we designed a version that was super simple with built-in music. And so we worked with a wide variety of ASM artists, to make a custom sleep track, for the ASMR edition for us, and we built it all in, and yeah, and then we work with them directly on commissions and things like that, and it's been really, really rewarding.
And what do you think the future of ASMR is? How big do you think it's going to get?
I think there's going to be more medical research done on it as soon as this COVID thing is over, because it is very interesting.
Mm.
And I think we're going to figure out that it is a phenomenon that has certain physiologic effects, and everybody's different, right? And so for some people, it's going to have this set of physiologic effects, and for other people, it's going to have another. And how CBD oil and things like that have become more mainstream, and it's being used for seizures and things like that, for certain types of seizures. We're going to find medical uses for ASMR, I think. Um, and I think that's great, because these are all natural modalities that have real physiologic effects that can impact our physical and mental health.
And you mentioned using these influencers who are actually talking about your product while doing their videos. So how do you go about picking these influencers? How do you know, do you use a particular tool or a website that is able to vet them? How do you go about knowing that, this is the right influencer to partner with?
Oh, uh, honestly, we just searched on ASMR and looked for the number of subscribers and listened to a whole bunch. And if they sounded like they were, that things weren't too strange, and they weren't so big that they were ignoring our emails, then yeah, we could work with them. But we wanted, as big as we could get, but would still be willing to work with us, basically.
And usually, are you doing it on a commission-based model, as you said, or sometimes you have to give an upfront fee, or an advance of some sorts, or how does that work?
Yeah. So it's definitely, so if they sell the ASMR edition, they definitely do get commissions on that. And as far as upfront fees go, we did provide, samples and the offer to help with any photography costs and things like that, because we wanted a really beautiful picture to represent them. I don't know if your listeners have any idea about CDs.
About
Or
what?
CDs. Like back in the
Oh,
day when I
CVs.
was growing up. Yes, compact discs.
Oh,
Whenever you got,
CDs. Yeah, okay.
yeah, CDs. So you get a CD and you get this beautiful booklet, right? And this booklet gives you the lyrics, and it's got pictures, stylized pictures of all your favorite artists in different poses and things like that. Um, and so I wanted to harken back a little bit to that, and just kind of bring the ASM artist to life, because everything is digital nowadays, but like to have that physical, printed version of a person in their best, in a still, but looking their best and things like that. I think brings something to the experience of listening to ASMR. It is, ASMR is really about the physical, being in the present and being there, right? Rather than living in an utterly digital world. And so I feel like having that physical experience of holding this booklet with nice pictures and things like that, and a little bit of background about each ASM artist is helpful, because it's part of the experience. So that's what we did. We paid them, to find a photographer and all of that kind of stuff to help bring this experience to life.
Okay, so I also wanted to know, like, when you if I were to divide your sales, the sales that you have made, do a lot of them come from advertising, or do a lot of them come from influencers or affiliates? Like, what is the breakdown? Like, what do you think is a good strategy for businesses like yours? Should they focus more on advertising? What is a good breakdown?
It's going to be different for every single business, obviously. So how I would categorize our business, we have a very niche electronics product. And it's unlike anything out there. So when you say headphones, people think automatically, this thing that goes over your head with a band and then like little two cans over your ears, or earbuds. And so I feel like for our product, there's a lot of education involved, because it's not intuitive. It's a completely new concept, right? People are always asking, well, does it come with music, or like, what do you listen to? And it's like, well, you can listen to whatever it is that you want, and you can listen to, white noise or audio books or whatever it is that helps you sleep. And so then it starts to click. but that takes time. And it's the people who don't need sleep phones, and about 2/3 of people honestly don't need sleep phones. And I'm okay with that. I don't need to sell ice to Eskimos or anything, but a third of people who have trouble sleeping really could benefit from sleep phones. And it's to these people that we want to make sure that they know we're available and that this is something for them. But it takes a lot of education because it's not something that has been trailblazed already. And so then people just make the connections 1, 2, 3. Oh, I just sync it and then listen to this and I can fall asleep. We really have to spell it out for them. It takes some education. And so if we and we've tried going into big box retailers where basically people are just scanning around for brands that they know, and it doesn't work. It doesn't work for us because they don't know about us already. It takes the education component. And so I think that's kind of where we need to focus, and where it depends on your business. If it's really intuitive, like everybody knows exactly what you do as soon as you talk about it, then you don't need to educate. You can, it is a competition about price in many ways, probably. But for us, it is, we do have some knockoffs out there, some copycats, and the quality is very, very different. We sew everything together. We don't glue anything, or we don't have really hard, thick components. Everything is really custom designed for comfort, right? And so, yeah, to differentiate, we sell online because online is the best way to educate somebody about something new, and we have to make sure that they understand that we have the highest quality product out there.
So what would be, in your case, what is the breakdown? So in your company's case, just as an example.
So advertising is part of it, but a lot of it is getting out there for sending samples to different people who could write about us, or honing in on the reporters who are writing about sleep, and targeting the different online message boards and things like that about sleep, or different issues around sleep, like snoring and things like that. So yeah, those are some of the things that we do.
Okay, so the last question is, what would you be doing if not this? So what other career path would you have if not the one that you have right now?
I would be working this pandemic, helping people make the right choices, and actually right now I'm volunteering as a vaccine giver too. So I've been giving shots on the side. So kind of getting back into a little bit of the medicine and helping people directly side of things. But I still am more passionate about the preventative medicine and public health, and doing things that help a lot of people at once from a very basic level. And I think that's in many ways what SleepPhones does, is it improves people's lives day to day by helping them sleep better. So it all kind of comes together in the end, and we're very happy about what we do.
Well, that was the last question. Thanks everyone for joining us for this month's episode of Outgrow's Marketer of the Month. That was Wei-Shin, who is the CEO of AcousticSheep LLC. Thanks for joining us, Wei-Shin.
Thank you.
Check out their website for more details, and we'll see you once again next month for another Marketer of the Month. Thank you.